Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach, and for the last week I've been driving the 2025 Ford Expedition Max Platinum. Up front is a 3.5-liter twin-turbo V6, and down below is a 10-speed automatic transmission. Now, I'm super excited to be making this video here today because I've spent the last week driving the Expedition, and this is all new for 2025. This is a new generation, and I also reviewed the Navigator, this vehicle's platform mate, a couple of weeks ago, so we're going to be comparing and contrasting this to the Navigator as well as what you can expect out of the brand new Expedition. But if you'd like to submit your own vehicle and have it reviewed here on the channel, you can head on over to my website, zackpradel.com/submit. It's a quick and easy submission form. It takes under a minute to fill out, and I come out to you. And if you'd like to see all my videos weeks or sometimes months in advance, you can head on over to my Patreon for only $5 a month. But let's get back to that twin-turbo V6 under the hood. That is the EcoBoost 3.5-liter, and Ford has used this for a while. It's also shared with the Navigator, and I like it. It makes little turbo noises, and I like it quite a bit. Now, like I said, paired to it is a 10-speed automatic. Again, no issues here. It's shifting well. It's shifting quietly, and you don't even really notice it unless you're really on it. So that has been certainly very nice. Last but not least, this is four-wheel drive, and we'll talk about how to select that a little bit later on. How does it feel to drive the Expedition? It's big. This is the Max, which is the longer Expedition. And so it's big, but honestly, it's very manageable. The steering is light enough and very car-like, even though you are driving a bus. Throttle response is good, and honestly, for how heavy it is, it gets up and goes more than you might anticipate. Visibility is fine, although you do have some 360 cameras to help out, and ride quality is pretty solid as well. With that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior, because that's where we're going to spend a big majority of our time. Well, in front of me, I have a giant digital display. Now, this is only half of what you get in the Navigator. The Navigator gets the giant pillar-to-pillar screen. They chopped it in half here for the Expedition. In front of me, I do get my speed and screen and fuel and gauges and all of that stuff. Really clean and easy to read. And I actually like this. I think it's a lot less distracting than the Navigator's pillar-to-pillar screen as well. While driving at night, it doesn't feel like I'm staring into the beady eyes of a Samsung 90-inch TV. It feels more at home here. It actually feels better, and I like that quite a bit. On the steering wheel, however, we have a couple of things to note. First of all, we do have these touch buttons, which I absolutely despise. I think they're bad. I don't think that they're easy to use, and they're frustrating where steering wheel buttons don't need to be frustrating. So you kind of hover your finger over it, and then you look at the screen, and it will tell you what you're doing. I think this is unnecessary and takes your eyes off the road more. However, the worst of all is this button on the steering wheel to adjust the steering wheel pedals and mirrors. Now, in the Lincoln Navigator, they wanted that clean look on the door, so you don't get mirror adjustments. However, here in the Expedition, you actually get mirror adjustments, so this button with the icon of a mirror does not operate the power mirrors. This was really confusing and really dumb in my opinion. The fact that the logo literally has a mirror adjustment on it, and yet it does not adjust the mirrors. This is a complete oversight by the Ford Motor Company. The last thing is that the steering wheel is very small. You can tell that they're starting to go away from big steering wheels, and because this does have Blue Cruise, which is operated on the steering wheel, you could tell that they kind of don't want you touching it all the time. It's sort of that futuristic idea of like, yeah, the steering wheel is there, but it's not something that you use all the time. Off to the left, we do have a climate vent, and way down below, again, I think this is bad positioning for the drive modes and four-wheel drive settings. Really out of the way and took a little while for me to find. Now, we do have several drive modes, which are nice. We have normal, tow haul, eco, sport, slippery, and off-road. And moving out of the door, we do have lock and unlock, our actual power mirror adjustments, and power windows. Moving into the center, we get another infotainment display for Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, of which are wireless. Your climate controls are ran through here. I don't love it. However, it hasn't really been that laggy, so I enjoy that. And I'll search through a couple of different options here. Again, like the Navigator, you also have Google integrated if you would like it. However, you still get Apple CarPlay. GM should definitely take notes. from Ford. We do have a 360 camera, as well as we have heated and ventilated seats, heated steering wheel, and all of the fixings found in there. Down below that screen, we do get our shifter and gear change, volume, auto start stop, parking assist, hazard switch, camera button, traction control, and hill descent control. You do get this nice Expedition badge, and this is where it differs a lot from the Navigator as well. I really like seeing that Ford didn't just copy paste the interiors from either car. They're actually pretty significantly different, and I like to see that. Now down below, we do get a center console with our Pro Trailer Assist, wireless charger, USB-A and USB-C, and off to the right, we do get cup holders, so we'll do a big freaking bottle test, and surprisingly, they pass here in the Expedition, but fail in the Navigator. So, very nice to see that the average Joe can carry around his big friggin' bottle. Now, all of this is really nice. However, there is a button here that says slide, and you can slide the entire center console back to reveal more storage with a really cool depiction of a Ford Model T down at the very bottom. I love that Easter egg. I love when companies do this, and it makes it feel really special. But yeah, you get an entire sliding center console. In practice, it's a little but it's a cool concept nevertheless, and you do still get a center console storage area with 12-volt outlet and 2 more USB-Cs. The seats are comfortable. They're heated, ventilated, power, and memory, and I've enjoyed them. I've done a couple of miles in this vehicle, and my back hasn't hurt. My spine isn't twisting, and I really, really appreciate that. However, speaking of seats, we have 2 more rows of seating, so let's go do some back seat reviews. All right, so we're in the second row of the 2025 Ford Expedition Max, and that will come into play here in a second, but I am pretty comfortable. Now, these seats are manual, so I can move them all the way up and all the way back. In the all the way back position, I am swimming in space back here. However, I'll move it up to a modest amount because we'll hop into the back here in a second. Down below, I do have climate controls for the back seats. Single zone climate, but I do have heated seats for the second row, which is nice. We have USB-C chargers in the backs of the front seats. Speakers, vents, I get to change all of this stuff. We do have LED lights and whatnot. This is a relatively nice space to be. This is all you really need in the back seat of a 3-row SUV. I mean, even the heated seats are a little bit overkill for what Ford was trying to do, but this is the Platinum, so it gets all of the goodies. Now, these are the captain's chairs. This is the 7-passenger configuration. However, you can still order an 8-passenger, which would have a bench seat here, as well as the bench seat there. But now let's hop into the third row. So first of all, with the third row, I have my own climate vents right up here that are absolutely cooking here today. And that is very, very nice because we are in a heat wave here in Chicago. I can lean my chair back or lean it forward. Not sure why I wanted that straight up, but I fit back here. This is the Max, so this is the longer version of the Expedition, and I have plenty of space. Even if this seat moved all the way back to its ultra comfy position, I would still have a decent amount of room, which is very nice to see. And we did fill this with 7 people the other night, and I didn't hear many complaints. So that is certainly very nice, and it's very livable, accessible, and easy. I like that. Let's hop into the very back. We'll take a quick look at the trunk and cargo space, and then we'll talk about the looks. Right around the back of the Expedition, we do have a button down here to open up the top tailgate, and then we have another button here to lower the bottom tailgate. So same as the Navigator, you get that split tailgate, which this is really nice because you could sit on this during a soccer game, baseball game, whatever. If you need a table, you can also have that. Obviously, the big friggin' bottle is hanging out here today, as well as my tripod for shooting. But if we move over here, we do have a light switch. Very, very nice to see that. You can actually adjust the angle of these lights, which is really, really cool. Third row left, second row left, fold down seats, third row right, second row right. Some added storage space over there. And then if we move over here, we get 2 USB-Cs, a 12-volt outlet, and a standard wall outlet. Absolutely love to see all that. And you still get usable space behind the third row. So even though you have 7 people in here, you could still fit at least some luggage, maybe not all of their luggage, but something nevertheless. You can pick this up and you get the privacy cover, but that's about it. So very, very cool. And if you come back here, you hit this one single switch, it will pack up both tailgates at the same time, which is very, very nice. Now we gotta talk about the looks, and I am kind of torn here on the look of the Expedition. I love the look of the front end. I think they really nailed the front end. It looks very trucky, very macho, but around the back with the two-tone, it kind of looks unfinished in my opinion, and I'd have to imagine that a color-matched tailgate would actually look a lot better on an Expedition like this. However, beggars can't be choosers, and that's okay. And I will mention that this car does have a slight boo-boo up by the passenger headlight on its way to my house. Someone actually ran into it, and so this is the only video of this car you'll see on YouTube where it actually has the boo-boo, because it's actually getting sent to the body shop the day after filming this, so it'll all be fine. With all of that being said, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think driving the Expedition for the last week? Besides the steering wheel controls, and some of the tech in here is a little bit too much. Do I need two giant screens? No. I think the steering wheel with its touch buttons are atrocious and bad, and I don't think they'll stick around for very long, but at least throughout this model run, since this is the first year of it. The fact that it says mirrors on the steering wheel that don't operate the mirrors is lunacy to me. However, I have to say that I've enjoyed the rest of the Expedition. This is a lot more usable than the Navigator. The Navigator was very much a stylistic show-off piece. You show up in a Navigator and jaws drop. It had the crazy displays, it had the relaxation mode, it had the massage seats, it had the giant 24-inch wheels, it had the screens in the back. That was very much a show-offy vehicle. This feels more average, this feels more family-oriented, and honestly, it's more usable. Not only with the fact that it passes the big friggin' bottle test while the Navigator doesn't, but it has that movable center console. It's more approachable. I'm not as nervous to drive a vehicle like this. It just feels more honest in the way that it is. The shifter position. The seats are going to stay cleaner or cleaner looking. The Navigator had these white leather seats, which was fantastic looking on camera, but I would rather eat a bowl of sewing needles than try to clean those seats every 2 days. This has the onyx interior, so it's going to hide the stains that your kids are going to leave behind. If you take it for a beach day, it's going to be easier to clean and easier to manage. And that's the final thing. This just feels more approachable. It doesn't feel like this is putting on a show just to wow the customers. This is a big Expedition for families, and that's it. That's what it wanted to offer, and that's what it gives you. Now, for the Platinum, it is $84,000. That's a lot of money, but you can find these starting in the 60s. I'll put what the website says up on screen now. So that's a lot more approachable of price. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to the Ford Motor Company for letting me borrow their Expedition for the last week. Huge thank you to G. Schmitz for facilitating the cleaning and delivery of this vehicle. And of course, the Midwestern Automotive Media Association. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.